So thank you today for joining us for EndNote Advanced. My name is Crystal and joining me online is Ingrid, and we are both academic and research librarians based here at CDU. We'll be taking you through the content today for EndNote Advanced and hoping that we can answer any questions that you have along the way. Good morning. Okay, so I'm sharing, just making sure I'm sharing the right content, and then we'll keep going. Okay, so before we start the workshop today, I'd like to acknowledge that we're on the land of the Larrakia people here in Darwin, which is the main campus of CDU. I'd like to acknowledge and pay my respects to First Nations of all people and all the lands that CDU has campuses and wherever you might be joining us from today. Feel free to put the traditional owners' names in the chat if you know, and pay your respects as well. So what will we be covering today in EndNote Advanced? Well, I'll start off by saying that the EndNote Advanced class comes with an assumed knowledge that you have been using EndNote and that you have attended our EndNote Essentials class. So this is not the class for you if you are a new user to EndNote, but what I'd like you to do is invite you to let us know where you're at with your EndNote journey, what kind of stage you feel you're at. If you have any burning questions that you'd like to know or roadblocks. Essentials is run every month, Teramai. So you can go onto the CDU Library Workshops calendar and you'll be able to see the times for EndNote Essentials and register for that class. So yes, if that's you, you can feel free to exit out now because the content that we'll be covering is advanced. By all means, stay on if you'd like, and you can see some of the advanced features. But if you are completely new to EndNote, it might make more sense for you to join an EndNote Essentials class first, which is the first beginning class. So what we'll be covering today is talking about the advanced features of EndNote. So things that go beyond simply adding references into your EndNote library, things about managing your references to make them work for you at the stage of study that you're at. So EndNote has powerful capabilities to allow you to manage and keep PDFs and then to collaborate and share those PDFs with your colleagues as well. You have the ability to add in custom styles and use advanced cite while you write features, and to manage and share your libraries as well. So we'll be talking through some of those. I acknowledge that we have an hour. An hour is not very long to cover these through, and it's not intended to be a step-by-step. We'll show you how to do these things. What this session is intended to do is show you where you can find the information to be able to help answer your questions, and then to be able to contact us to ask for that further information when you need it. We'll also have a bit of a Q&A session at the end, so if you do have some questions, please hold on to them and we'll help you with that further. There's also a way that you can use your EndNote library for helping you with conduct systematic reviews, and I'll show you that a little bit later when we jump into my EndNote library and point you to resources that you can use to help you do that as well. So before we get into the nitty-gritty content, you'll be aware that you can download EndNote from the EndNote guide, and our CDU EndNote guide is also where you can find the answers to your most frequently asked questions. So you can thank you, Ingrid. You can also access recordings of previous training on our EndNote guide, both essentials and advanced, and you can get the links to download the CDU EndNote styles and connection files to your EndNote library, which if you are an advanced EndNote user, you will have already done. There's also information about syncing there as well. You can also see the contact options for how to get help from the library when things don't work quite like you expected. So you can scan the QR code on the screen there. Thank you very much. I was expecting that for you to have downloaded. And you can also contact us using all of those details as well. Okay. I touched on the downloading CDU styles. That is on the EndNote guide in that second link there. And again, the QR code will take you straight to that page, which will allow you to download the connection files, which will allow you to download direct from the CDU library collections. It's a really handy feature, which I'm sure you all have already done, and to download the CDU referencing styles into your EndNote library as well. As you're probably aware, you can also edit the referencing styles in your EndNote library, and we'll touch on where you can do that and how you can do that a little bit later in the session today. Okay, so just a reminder of some helpful tips and hints for what to do in EndNote and what to keep an eye out for. So we always advise that you keep one EndNote library. It can be very tempting if you've got multiple projects and multiple assignments that you're working on to think that you need to set up separate EndNote libraries. What that does is confuses you and can potentially create problems with your EndNote libraries. We recommend that you create groups and smart groups to organize your references in your EndNote library. Once you've done that as well and you've consolidated, if you have multiple EndNote libraries right now and different files that you're keeping track of, we recommend that you consolidate that into the groups. Once you've done that, to save a compressed copy of your EndNote library. What does that mean? So your EndNote library is made up of two files, a .enl and a .data file. So the .enl is your EndNote library. The .data is anything that is added into that library. So that includes PDFs that you've downloaded and uploaded to your EndNote library. So saving them as a compressed copy saves those files together. It means that your EndNote library can't be broken if a file is moved to a different location. And we recommend that you save those remotely as well. So away from your desktop, away from your computer, you save a copy on an external hard drive, you save a copy in the cloud, and you save a copy on, say, an external USB as well. We recommend saving more than one copy remotely just to make sure that you're keeping those copies for posterity, just in case something happens to your computer. I have heard of horror stories of computers being stolen and entire EndNote libraries being gone because they were just saved on the EndNote on your desktop. So keep a copy and keep multiple copies. And then of course, when you save your EndNote library and when you add more references, you need to keep updating those copies once you've got that saved. You can also keep a copy saved in your EndNote online account as well. And I'll show that a little bit later when we go into that information. It's important, which I'm sure you are aware of, only editing your citations in EndNote. If you edit them in Word, those changes and those edits don't apply across to your EndNote library. And the best time to do this is when you download the reference from the database or from Library Search, and you're keeping that information correct at the time. It can be a bit time consuming, which I'm sure as EndNote users, you appreciate the amount of time that's involved with setting up your EndNote library. You want to make sure that that data is correct and that things are coming across correctly, and then they're translating across into those Word documents when you're saving your references. Again, just general reminders to replicate the referencing style. When you're working in Word using Cite Where You Write, you're changing your referencing style in EndNote as well. You can also edit referencing styles, and you can create. EndNote comes pre-populated with blank referencing styles. So this can be really handy if you've been asked to reference in a certain style that you can't find in EndNote, or you can't download from somewhere. You can edit a referencing style in your EndNote library. So that's possible. Just general reminders too about checking your references and making sure you edit them. We have seen instances in library search where the information that's come across from the database is not 100% correct. So you still need to double check your references and then double check them in the paper, and certainly double check them against any other changes that your lecturers or academic staff have requested. Sometimes there can be conventions that academics request that are not in the style. So you can edit that yourself in the Word document or in EndNote itself. Okay, we mentioned before about keeping just one EndNote library. The way to do that and to separate out your references is to use groups, and you can use the advanced feature of smart groups. So smart groups, we'll cover that a little bit later. And just some points about the authors as well. So making sure that authors are appearing right in your EndNote and that you're using the author lists, which you can edit in EndNote as well, to make sure they're appearing correct as too. Okay, we touched on this, so importing references and PDFs. So I'm sure you are all aware that you can import from a range of library databases. You can also upload manually into your EndNote library. It's really important when you do this that you check and you clean the references when they come in and the differences between the different databases. So downloading from a reputable source such as Scopus versus the kind of data that you might get from a Google Scholar record, just being aware of that and then updating that information as you're downloading. Keep in mind that you have multiple options for uploading. So you can manually upload at the time that you're scooching through a database and searching. You can download one by one, which I'm sure you have done in library search using the EndNote import button. You can import references doing that in bulk from library search and then upload or ask EndNote to find the full text for you. So what I will do, I'll open up my EndNote library right now and I'll show you something to do with that. So here's let me show you. I'll just share my screen with you. Okay. Share screen. Okay, so this is my EndNote library, which you should see on your screen shortly. Okay, so the import options that you have, you can import, you can upload to edit. So you can import here from either a file or a folder. Now, something I wanted to show you is I collected a folder of resources. So on my desktop. And you have options here. So it's asking if you'd like to include files which are in subfolders. So if this is a folder where you have been keeping, say you've been doing searching over several months and you've created folders in your folder to import, you can ask EndNote to include those files. I haven't got that. I've got exactly 10 files in this folder that I've collected today. You could also have the option here to create a group set for this import. So this is one of those options. Instead of creating multiple libraries, you can create a group set for this import. So I'm going to do that because this is on a very specific topic, all of these articles. Then you can change the options here. They're all PDFs, and do I want to automatically, EndNote is asking me if I want to discard any duplicates or import them. So this is important if you're then going to do screening in a systematic review. You might want to import them all to help with your collation and numbers later. So I'm going to import them all and import. And then EndNote is going to, my EndNote library is going to work to import all of those files in. The EndNote library does that using the DOI. So if any of the PDFs that you have downloaded from any of the sources are missing that DOI, they won't come across, and you will need to either find the DOI, find a PDF with that DOI listed, or manually add the record. So we'll see how that looks as it adds. Okay, we'll come back to that one. So I'll stop sharing now and go back. Oh, it looks like it's okay. Great. So it's imported that folder now, and it's showing as 10 imported references. So all of those PDFs had the DOI that it was able to pull those from, and you can see here that every PDF has automatically been uploaded as well because the paperclip attachment icon is there. And you can see in your EndNote library, so we've got the main screen, and then you've got your summary, which includes a link to the PDF, including the sample reference. You have the ability to add tags. This is one of the great new features in EndNote 21, is that you can then apply tags to your records, which give you a colored icon that appears next to the records in your EndNote library as well. You've got your edit screen. So this is where you'd want to come in at the time of adding these resources and just check that all of this information is correct. So making sure that your authors are displaying correctly, the journal title is displaying correctly, and any of the other information that you need for those records is there. And then you have your PDF as well. So this is where you can actually read the article, and you can make edits and comments on your articles as well here in your EndNote library. And these stay in your EndNote library. So if you're adding comments to this as you're reading, you can add that comment box in. You can add that there and comment on that. So you could put a comment in like, needed for my conclusion, for example, and that comment will stay there. And you can also highlight the text, so you can make those edits. And they will stay there on the record when you come back to it. Okay, so we'll come back to the EndNote library a little bit later. Just before we leave, I'll touch on some of the features of EndNote 2021. One of the new features that came across in an update was retracted papers. So EndNote, so yes, we'll save those changes. EndNote will now alert you if any of the papers that you have downloaded have been retracted. So here you can see in the EndNote library, one of the papers I've downloaded in my testing was retracted. And so it's showing there in the left-hand side of the screen, it's got an icon that catches your attention. And you can see there that this one has been retracted by the publisher. EndNote has trawled the found that information and has then highlighted this paper as being potentially problematic in your EndNote library. This is useful if, again, you're doing research and say you found a set of papers that are pivotal to your research and that you are basing your conclusions on. You can then see that you will then need to check this paper carefully to find out what conclusion has been made, and it will help your research in that way. So it's a helpful feature of EndNote 21. Okay, so I'll stop sharing right now and I'll go back to sharing the presentation. Okay. And so we were at importing, we were talking about, now we're at to terms lists. Okay. Okay, so in your EndNote library, so this information on the left-hand side are the terms list and where EndNote sources that information from. So I put this list here because you might see information that you recognize that relates to your type of research. This is where those terms lists come from in EndNote that allow you to that regulate the way that that information is shown. You can also edit the terms list yourself for either authors, journals, or keywords. If you find other terms lists, you can import them into your EndNote library. There are further instructions about how to do that on that link there from the Clarivate website. It's really handy if you have any questions to do with using EndNote and any of those advanced features. You can generally find really great step-by-step instructions and instructional videos on the Clarivate website as well that will help you step you through those problems as you go. Okay, using groups and smart groups. So you have the ability in EndNote to set up those individual groups for yourself based on your research in whatever way makes sense to you. You can structure it based on your assignment type that you're working on, based on the chapter that you're currently writing, or the themes. So you can do that. It doesn't change the amount of references that are in your EndNote library. All of your EndNote references still appear in all references. It just gives you a way to organize those. And further to that, you have the ability to set up smart groups that allow you to set up a set of keywords or terms that EndNote will then recognize. Say you've done a bulk import from a library search session that you've done, and you've imported 100 records. What the smart groups will do is once you've imported those records, it will then organize your references based on those search terms. So then group them into your group sets. To allow you to search through them in a more easy way. So again, it's one of those ways of organizing your EndNote library so that you're not operating using different libraries and potentially creating those confusing places for you to miss your references or lose parts of your EndNote library, and it allows you to organize them in a way that makes sense to you. So I'll show you those when we go back into my EndNote library in a little bit later as well. So to further customize your library, you can use custom fields to create new fields based on the kinds of things that matter for you in your research. So in your EndNote library, you'll have the standard set of references that show, or reference fields that show in your EndNote library. You can then add or change these fields so that you can add in things for yourself that based on, so the examples there are the status or the state that you're at with your review. If you have particular grant numbers or project numbers attached to references, and if you have comments that you'd like to keep track of, you can do that, and you can show them more prominently by moving them in your EndNote library and make it make sense for you. You can also bulk edit these fields as well. So if you don't need to change it one by one, you can change every reference in your library. So the example there is to add a specific search term to the keywords field for a number of references as well, so that you can quickly find that when you're looking for those references in your EndNote library. Okay, you also have the ability to share your EndNote library. So to do this, you need to have created an EndNote online account. And you can do that using the information that I've included on the link there on that screen. So this, if you're new to sharing, this is a good page to go to to get that information to share. And I would encourage you to have a look at your EndNote Online account as well. And if you haven't already, I was opening up my EndNote Online account yesterday, and I've done quite a bit of clearing in my EndNote account for today's session, which I'll show you a little bit later. You can see in my trash fields. And then when I opened up my EndNote Online account, it has kept everything that I've ever saved into my EndNote Online account. What does this mean? It means that if you have some sort of issue with your EndNote library or your desktop version, you can then go back into your EndNote Online account, and unless you have synced it, you can then retrieve that information there. That's really handy to know. And you can save a copy from your EndNote Online account as well. You can also share your EndNote library account with, at the moment, with EndNote 21 with up to 1,000 people. With every update, EndNote increases those limits as well with people that you can share. So I mentioned the importance of having an EndNote Online account for sharing. One of the reasons for those is the ability to recover and restore your EndNote library. So if something was to happen to your computer, you can then go onto your EndNote Online account and recover it from there. So it's another way of keeping track and keeping your EndNote library safe. EndNote Online also allows you to have the ability to cite while you write in your Google Documents. And I also wanted to highlight the tags ability. I mentioned this before as a way of color coding your references. If you are someone who likes post-it notes and uses that to help organize your thinking, think of the tags as electronic post-it notes. It's just another way for you to organize your references and to personalize it to you. So you can get more information about the EndNote Online account and sign up for that using the link on the screen there now. I'll also highlight the EndNote Click feature, which is a browser extension which allows you to add information into EndNote, including the PDFs, using the button there that appears on the bottom of the screen. So I've kept a copy or included a copy of the button you will see. It appears on the bottom left-hand side of an article that you have you've been searching on. It doesn't, it's your brain becomes used to it, so it's not intrusive. It's not something that takes up a lot of space, and you can start to miss it. So I had to go looking for it, but it will come across, and it just gives you that other option for you to import into your EndNote library. It's one of the other features that's new. Okay, before we jump into the EndNote library and have a look at some of these features, I just wanted to highlight some of the help options that you have available to you. So if you are going to take a copy of any of the screens, this one is it. This is where to go when you have questions, when you have concerns, when you'd like to meet with someone to discuss your concerns. You can make an appointment with an academic and research librarian who can help you and can sit with you either online or in person to discuss those issues. We hold workshops like this one regularly. So as I mentioned, there are EndNote workshops available every month, and they are both essentials and advanced. So you can find the full calendar of workshops available on our website. And we offer a range of other support services as well. And I'll just touch on our contact details here. So again, there are a number of ways that you can get in touch with the library. If you are working at any time, day or night, and have questions, I would strongly encourage you to email us using the Ask the Library at cdu.edu.au email address. This will allow you, the reason I'm saying that, especially when it comes to more advanced EndNote advanced features, is you can take screenshots of any issues that you are seeing. You can send files to the librarian team, and they will be able to look at that issue, look at your screenshot, and help diagnose or troubleshoot those problems. So, and you can do that anytime, day or night. If it's during the Northern Territory business hours, which is 8:30 a.m. through to 4:30 p.m. You can give us a call on the phone number there, and a staff member will be available to help you. You also have the text options, or you can use the frequently asked questions features on the website. And as always, for anyone who is located here on one of the campuses, you can pop into the offices, and our rule is if our doors are open, you can come in and ask a question, and it can be any question whatsoever. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and go back into my screen. So I wanted to point out some more of those features. Sure, Sinteu. If you'd like to turn your microphone on, you can ask a question.
Hi, Crystal.
Hi.
Um, uh, uh, which online research you prefer to use?
Sorry, what was that?
Online research or search?
Oh, search options.
Yeah.
You mean to import into EndNote?
Yes.
Yep, so you can use any search options that include the RIS file extension. So I can show you that. So that's one of the import options that you have. Let me share my screen with you. So I'll just stop sharing what I'm sharing now. And then I'll share my screen and I'll show you what I mean. Okay. So this will go straight back to my EndNote library, and then I'll be able to share. There we go. Any moment. Okay, so.
Hello.
Oh, yes, hello?
I have a question from this.
Yes?
Okay, just I'm currently using the Note 21 for as my citation manager, but none of my reference could not be appear with their DOI number. So how can we add that one?
Okay, so so you've been importing using PDFs, is that correct?
What I'm doing is that just I take the copy the topics, then paste in the Google Scholar, then I will cite. But none of the reference couldn't appear with their DOI.
Okay, so let me have a look at that. So if I go into, I'm going to share my screen with you.
Okay.
Right, so you're talking about doing a search in Google Scholar.
Yeah, just I will copy the topics of the article and paste in Google Scholar. Then I follow and I will cite in my Word document. But none of the references couldn't appear with their DOI in the reference list.
Okay, I'm just doing a search. So when you've got the option here to cite,
Yeah.
so and you click on EndNote from Google Scholar,
Yeah.
yep, so that downloads.
Yeah.
If we download into EndNote, that might not be the best. So that's what I've gotten there for that reference. What I'm going to do is I'm going to close that again. Okay, and I'm going to look for a journal article. Might do a better search.
Mm-hmm.
So um, would
Yeah.
help if I could. Okay, so if I've got a journal article,
Yeah.
okay, and I'm going to click on EndNote. Okay, so that's the information that's coming across in the download. And like I said, EndNote pulls this information in based on the article having a DOI. So if the article doesn't have the DOI or is missing the file, so this one, anything that has an EndNote file will come across, but this is a perfect example of needing to check the information that's in the record that has come across to then edit that information. So you can do that in the edit screen. And it's not going to, because I haven't uploaded, I've used the download button from Google Scholar, it's not going to bring across the PDF either. So it will bring the information into your EndNote library, and you will either need to manually add the PDF using the import feature, or keep a file like I did before of all of your PDFs and upload those. So that's, I might be getting confused there. There are two ways. So when you import a PDF into your EndNote library, the way that the information comes across into EndNote is using that DOI. The information that we download there from Google Scholar comes from the file, the EndNote file type that we've downloaded from. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I need to download first the PDF.
You can. That's one way that you can import. So you can do either or. I mentioned the PDF import option because that might be something that for people who, depending on the way that you study, the way that you've researched, you might have a file of PDFs. You might also be given a folder of PDFs by a research colleague that you want to then upload into your EndNote. That's how you can do that.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Is there someone else who had another question? Sintayu?
That's okay for me.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Hi, Crystal. I
Yep.
have a question. Which websites on the online search you prefer to? Because sometimes I found some article or book on in the Google Scholar, but I can't find in the public net.
Okay, so you've been able to find an article. Do you mean a PDF on Google Scholar?
I I should download the PDF and input to the EndNote.
Sure. Okay, what I would say is when you're downloading from a scholarly database like Scopus, the information, you can trust in the quality of the information that you are getting. So the information that you're downloading into your EndNote library is not likely to need to be edited. When you're downloading from Google Scholar, there's not that same level of scrutiny that's applied. So the probability that you're going to need to do some editing in your EndNote library is high.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yep. What I will say as well is I'm aware that, particularly if you're doing some in-depth searching, and you're doing a systematic search, you'll be searching across a number of different locations. And for say if you're doing a systematic review and you're wanting to scope the literature for grey literature, you're going to do a search in Google Scholar and you're going to have that information. So just keep in mind that when you import that information, you'll need to spend some time to make sure that you've edited the records and that you've got the information that you need. So it's not about picking and only choosing one database based on the quality of your information. It's based on the type of searching you need to do and your research.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. I mentioned before in the presentation the using groups and group sets. So these are my groups and group sets that you'll see. So I also mentioned that I've done a lot of cleaning in my EndNote library. So this is my trash folder. These are all of the things that I had removed. I did have things set up and items, many items across all of my groups. So these are the types of groups and group sets that I've set up. So these are ones that I've manually set up. To set up a smart group, you go up here to the groups menu and click on create smart group. And this allows you to set in those search terms, which will then, anytime you import into your EndNote library and the records contain these terms, that will then populate those groups automatically. So that's a really smart feature, hence being called smart groups. So you can set these to anything you like. So you can see there's lots of different options there. You even have the ability to add custom groups in. So you can edit those and add those, and then create that. And I would recommend testing that and playing with that, and you know, trialing it with your searching if that's something you haven't used before. I also mentioned the ability to use your EndNote library to keep track of systematic searching. That's what this folder is for. Now, there is a great video that's available on the EndNote subject guide. It's done by a colleague of mine at JCU in how to use your EndNote library to organize a Prisma review search. So these folders are all have all been set up following that video, and I recommend doing that. If that is something you're doing and you want to use your EndNote library for, it helps keep track of that process, and then will help you write your methods section, your searching section, when you come to the writing stage of your research. It's a really systematic way of organizing your references in that way. So you can do that if you go onto the library website. Let me see, I was on here. We go to the library website. You can find the EndNote subject guide under referencing and referencing programs. And then that video is here under EndNote and Prisma. This is a great page to, if that is something you will be doing, I recommend watching this video. And it's one of those things you can do. You can watch the video, pause it, make those changes in your EndNote library, and come back and keep doing that until you've got it set up. And you've got the a PDF there with the step-by-step instructions for how to do that. So that's something you can do if that is a stage that you're at. And I recommend bookmarking that page as well. So if that is something you're doing, you can add the page to your favorites. Were there any questions following on about that? No? Okay, we'll keep going on. So I mentioned before in the presentation, EndNote Web. So this is my EndNote Web account. I mentioned it being a great backup. It certainly is, because this contains everything that I have saved into my EndNote library ever. So what that tells me is I need to sync my EndNote library. But it's also great if there is an issue or anything I want to go back to from my previous searches, it's here on my EndNote online account. So this keeps a record as well of your EndNote library. And you can see tags are there, all of my groups are there. If you don't use it already, great to go in and just keep track of it there too. EndNote Click as well. So this is my EndNote Click account. All the things that I have added to or clicked on from EndNote Click are stored here. So just another way of you keeping track. So there is a limited or a more limited a number of articles that you can keep here in your EndNote Click Locker. It's called the EndNote Click Locker, so you can only keep a limited number. I forget the number right now, but it's not as large at all as your EndNote account is. So EndNote, you can keep 1 million records of research. You can't keep that in EndNote Click. I mentioned the Clarivate website, and all of the links that I've put throughout the presentation have been to the Clarivate website. So Clarivate are the company who own EndNote. So this is the, like, if you like, the source of truth, where to go when you have questions about how to do something in EndNote, when something isn't working correctly for you. This is where you'll come to find step-by-step instructions. You'll find videos about how to do certain features and functions, and you'll see that there are pictures there too that take you through how to do those things. So highly recommend that you can find the Clarivate information simply by Googling your question usually, and you know that if you're clicking on a link that goes to Clarivate, you're going to the source of truth for that. I would say you can find great information at other university websites as well when you have questions. The one thing I would say when you're referring to other university websites is you can't click on their links because it will require you to be affiliated with that university to be able to access that content. So if you want to that streamlined access to that information, going straight to Clarivate is best. Mentioned EndNote, the EndNote extension plugin as well. So this is the extension to add it to EndNote Click to go straight into your locker. So this is what it looks like on a web page, that purple icon, and you simply just click on that to add it into your EndNote library. So I'm showing it's not in my locker at the moment, so I'm going to click on that. And then it uploads. You can see that's uploading into my EndNote locker now. And then I've got the copy there. And you can also export it into your EndNote desktop. So it does only keep it for like a short time. It's great if you're doing research on the fly really quickly. You're not quite sure that you want to add it into your EndNote library. You don't have the time to do that, the editing work right away. You can have a look in here first, and then you can export it into your desktop. Okay, and again, another Clarivate support page here. So I just wanted to highlight again that those are, they're great to refer to. All right. Were there any questions based on any of the content or anything you'd like to see? Anything that I haven't covered that you would like to be answered right here? Well, you've got two librarians available to answer those questions.
I've got a question about library searching from within EndNote, which is something that I haven't been able to do. So, yeah, could you just talk a bit about that, please?
Sure. So here in your library tab, so this probably, it sounds, Judy, like that could have something to do with the library links that you have set up.
Yeah.
So to be able to search in from the CDE collections in your EndNote library, you first need to connect the, let me find the page, we'll go back. So here on the EndNote Styles and Connections page in the EndNote guide, I
think it's under Open URL.
Open URL.
In the library tab or in EndNote? I think I've
here we go. Thank you, Ingrid. Yep. So here on this slide, the Open URL screen, if you click on this, so if you copy this, you can then add that into your EndNote library. So it tells you here how to add it into your EndNote library. So let's just make sure. I'm going to bring this across into my EndNote library and follow these steps while we've got it. So the guide is saying to, go to Edit, and then click on Preferences, and then choose Find Full Text. Now, Find Full Text feature uses several. So for me, it's populated with every box ticked. If yours hasn't, you can add that in. So, and then you type in, so mine hasn't got this set up. Then you would copy in from that website, from the guide. So into the open URL path, we're going to pop that in. And we don't need to add anything into this box here. And then all you need to do, here's it, find, so automatically invoke find full text. That's a handy feature. So if we click on that, automatically that means that any references that we import, automatically your EndNote library will go to try and find the full text. And then we're going to hit apply. And so that's done. So now any searching you've done, so once you've done it, if you click on the citation in your EndNote library, we'll click on the references. So click on the citation, you want to find the text. So if we click on that, so if we go, so that's done. Now, if I click on that reference, click on reference in the top menu, and then click on find full text.
Sorry, Crystal and Judy, I actually think I misunderstood your question there, Judy. And I think, Crystal, you might have been right initially where you were looking with those connection files. Is that what you meant, Judy,
Sure.
that to search within actually this top bar here, to search within library search? Is that what you meant?
I don't mean search within my EndNote library. I can do that okay. What I meant
Right, you mean
was
searching. Sorry,
externally.
Judy.
Yeah, searching externally from EndNote.
Okay, yeah, I think that's what I was talking about before with the EndNote styles and connections file. So this one is still a good one to see. Well, what we can see there is by adding the open URL, we've added another option into the EndNote library to be able to find full text. So, and I've done that just on one record, which doesn't look that impressive, but you can imagine that if you had an entire library of 1,000 references, and then you did that, you imported, added the open URL, and then highlighted all of your references and then asked EndNote to find the full text, that would help locate those that we have access to at CDU. But what you were talking about, Judy, so if I go back to the library subject guide, so this is where we were, the EndNote styles and connections page. To add in the references or the ability to search the CDU library references, you first need to have connected this file. So if you haven't done that, do you know if you've done that, Judy?
I thought I did it right at the beginning, but given that I'm asking the question, I probably haven't. So I'll have to just repeat and double check.
I recommend trying, repeating it. And then if you have issues, get back in touch with us.
Yeah.
Because it's, then we can help you troubleshoot from there.
Yeah. Yeah. So just in brief terms, how should it be working? So once the connection file is in place, should I be able to then search the CDU library from within EndNote?
Yes. So then if you go to where is it? Ingrid, if you know, really appreciate. I know I'm trying to find it now. Where to find?
I think go back to library.
Library, yep.
Oh no, maybe that go simple search. Is that going to search?
Simple search.
No, that's going to search your imported references. Let me open my EndNote.
I know it's really should be references. Where is it? Search the word.
It should be down the bottom in the left-hand side. It'll come up with
here.
online search. Yeah.
Yeah. So at the bottom of your library there, Judy, on the left-hand side. So this icon here, CDU Library, if you then click on that, so have that highlighted, you'll then be able to use these search bars at the top to then search across what we have available in CDU Library Search.
Oh, cool. I have got that icon, so maybe that means.
Yeah, so try that. But if you're not seeing something, it could mean several things. Maybe you need some help with crafting your search to be able to search those across. What I would do is, if you've got a bit of time, I recommend running a search using this tool in EndNote while also having another browser window open and run that search in Library Search and see what results you're getting. If you're then seeing a discrepancy, then I would take screenshots of those and email them to us.
Okay, yep. Great. That's a really good tip. Thank you very much.
No worries. All right, I'm really mindful of time. I know this is a topic that there are a lot of things that we could cover and a lot of things that we could show. Like I mentioned at the start, it's not about showing you absolutely everything. It's more about giving you an overview of the more powerful, more advanced tools that are available to you, and most importantly, letting you know if you have any questions, when you encounter any difficulties, there are people here who can help you. So I really encourage you, if you have questions following on from today, if you'd like a one-on-one, more personalised chat with a librarian, you can make contact with us. You can send us an email through the Ask the Library email address. You can also get in touch with us. You can make an appointment as well with a librarian. So if you haven't got this icon, make sure that you've downloaded the CDU connection file. So that was on that library, the EndNote subject guide. EndNote, Ingrid has put a link into the account to that page, to that guide, and then you just go to the connection styles and folder, connection styles link. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, please let us know. Are there any other questions before we close off?
Is it possible to have the PowerPoint, Crystal?
It sure is. So what will happen after today's session, we'll send you out a recording of this session right today. So you'll have everything that I've covered today and all of the questions. And I will send out a copy as well. You should be able to download it actually from the session you're joining today, but I'll make sure we attach a PDF copy.
Oh, that'd be terrific. I feel like it's a bit of a EndNote health check, right? To be able to slowly go back through the slides would be useful for me so that I can just tick off the things I am doing okay and really circle those things where I haven't tweaked properly.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you all for joining today. Please get in touch if we can be of any more help and assistance, and have a wonderful time and all the best with your study and research.
Thanks so much, both of you. See you later.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.